Hey everyone, this is Mike with the One Stop Co-op Shop, and today I'm reviewing Unstoppable, a game in the Renegade Solo Hero series that I previewed and enjoyed quite a bit, but let's discuss the final version of the game. So Unstoppable is a mix of a deck builder and a card constructor. It's by John D. Clare, who's done Mystic Vale and other cards construction games in the past. One or two players are battling against enemies, and as they defeat enemies by using actions to play cards from their hand, those enemies are themselves cards from their deck, enemy side, player side, and you get more cards to take more actions, to kill more enemies, to get more cards. That's the general gist of the game. Any enemies you leave alive are going to do damage to you, and if you take too much damage, you die. And every turn, you're getting a selection of new cards to add to your deck, but you put them with a random enemy card. But then you can also add up to 2 upgrade cards to cards in your deck, which will give you extra powers when you play the cards, but also make the enemies stronger when you have to fight them on that side. And if you can defeat one of 3 bosses that come in the core game before you are defeated yourself, you win. So let's discuss 5 key things to know about Unstoppable. So my number 5 point, probably the least important to know, is the 2-player mode. So this is a game focused on solo play, but you can play with 2 players. And basically, you're just playing your own version of the game. Like you're fighting your own enemies and they're fighting their own enemies, but the boss has double the life, so you have to collectively defeat them. And on the positive side, there are some fun chances for cooperation because I can use my attacks to help you defeat your enemies. You can use your attacks to help me defeat my enemies. If one of us has a bad run of luck and the cards come out poorly, then we can kind of shore that up for each other. But on the negative side, I've found in my plays that you definitely tend to hyper-focus on your own stuff because there's a lot going on. And it also can get pretty chaotic because technically you're kind of taking all the phases simultaneously, but you might want to take turns and talk to each other. So it might work for some people for 2-player. It might not work that well for others, but it's certainly fine. It's a passable mode, nothing too special, but also works pretty well. Next, for my number 4 point, which is also a mix for my taste, is the randomness in the game. And this is really coming from the card draw. So like I said, your deck contains both the enemies you're fighting and the good cards you can use to defeat them as you kill them. But sometimes the enemies will come out in certain ways to make things especially tough. Like if you get fast cards, then you get more enemies. So if you get a few of those in a row, you might just have way too many enemies to deal with and take a lot of damage. Taunt cards mean that you can't attack the people that are actually going to hurt you until you deal with the taunter. And if they're on top of your deck, then you can't actually hurt anybody that's trying to kill you. So that can be a challenge. And you might build up certain cards, pay a lot to make them amazingly awesome, and then they might end up being the last card you draw from your deck and you get all your weakest stuff first. Now, it's not that bad. The game plays quickly, and you can mitigate a lot of this stuff by carefully managing the cards in your hand and not throwing them away at the wrong time. But still, you are certainly going to have games where you just straight up lose because things came out in the wrong order, and it might frustrate some players. My number 3 point is another mix, 3 in a row, and those are the bosses that you go against. So in the core game, there are 3 of them, but Harbinger and Triumvirate are pretty close to each other. They have very similar mechanics of putting boss enemies in your deck and you defeating them to deal damage to them. Triumvirate does add in some complications with these location cards, but yeah, playing these 2 isn't going to feel too different from one another. Now, Duomo's Menace is super different. It's like a choose-your-own-adventure with branching paths and narrative sections, so that one's very cool. But yeah, compared to something like, Warp's Edge, also in the Solo Hero series, the game doesn't feel like it changes too drastically, at least for 2 out of the 3 bosses. Now, what does change things up quite a ton is which difficulty level you play on, because it's going to quickly ramp up the enemy strength and also have different little side effects going off. So don't get me wrong, the game still has a ton of replay and some good variety, but the bosses are not the main selling point here. This is not Aeon's End or what have you, where you really get excited to try out the next boss. If Renegade does an expansion with more bosses, that would be awesome, but they've been kind of hit or miss on how they support the Solo series after the games come out, so we'll see if that ever happens. But going on to my number 2, which is a full pro for my taste, is the kind of flow of the game and the actions you take in the main phase. So you'll have cards in your hand, you have actions as one resource. Each card you play is going to let you accomplish some things. And as I mentioned, as you defeat enemies, you're going to get more cards in your hand. And this is really the main way to draw cards, by defeating the enemies in front of you. So it's just a really interesting ebb and flow to defeat things, to get things, to defeat things, to get things. Sometimes you want to let things stay around and hit you, because you don't want to like draw too many new cards, you don't want to use cards in an inefficient way. And then the fact that you also have credits to upgrade your cards, like immediately make a card better before you play it this round. Changing up the entire puzzle of what you can do is super cool, along with the injection of the draft cards. I'm going to talk about both of these more in a moment. And then you also often have the choice of how to deal with boss-related stuff. You can attack your own card, and two-player can attack the other player's cards. Just a really cool tactical puzzle. You all know that's my catnip if you've watched the channel much. Very enjoyable. Well, my number one is definitely the deck building and upgrading. This is so friggin' cool. And I've been mixed on some of John D. Clare's designs in the past, like Mystic Vale didn't do that much for me. But with this one, so first the drafting is just great. Every single turn for free. You don't have to like build up money. I like deck builders that do that kind of stuff, that just give you consistent deck building automatically. You get to draw 3 cards and pick one of them. And as you level up by going through your deck and defeating your enemies, you're getting to pull from stronger and stronger decks. But you get a random enemy on the back of the card that you drafted. So it injects some chaos and diversity in your enemies and your foes. That's great. And then that combined with being able to upgrade cards by adding up to 2 of these things to them is so cool. Because first of all, you change how the cards work. Like, it's already a decently sized card pool, but you're going to have unique combinations of cards every single time you play, especially as you try out the different characters who focus on certain factions. But you aren't only thinking about what you want the card to do in the moment, you also should be thinking about how is it going to power up the enemy. Is this particular combination of abilities and values going to be really a big drag when the enemy comes back and I have to fight them to actually get the card into my hand? It's just a genius system. I absolutely love it. And again, it's kind of infinitely replayable in terms of the combos and different cards you're going to see and need as you play through. Awesome, awesome system. So overall, if you like deck building, if you like deck construction, if you enjoy card games with really tense tactical choices, I think Unstoppable is awesome. I've already ordered the first expansion they have from the Renegade website. I really love this one. But on the other hand, if you don't like much randomness in games, if you want huge boss variety, I don't think the game really offers that well. You might want to check out Aeon's End or something like that instead. And if you want to see the game in action, I have a preview play on the channel. Everything's pretty much the same as in that prototype copy. And I also did 2 bonus plays on the Patreon. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.